Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Royal Ascot here on day 3. It is Thursday, the 18th of June, 2020. Gonna look at almost all the races here on the program from Ascot, but before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Hit 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and join me the rest of the week for some more Ascot previews, and also join me Saturday for my Belmont Stakes preview. But on today's program, the big race is the Gold Cup. We'll look at that, and we'll look at 6 other races. The only race we're not going to look at is going to be the 4th race here, and it's the Chesham, and I just find that a very difficult race. As a handicapper, I just don't feel confident giving out a tip. So in the 3 o'clock, the 4th race to Chesham, we'll watch it, but we won't give it a selection. But let's get to the opener, race number 1 from Ascot here on Gold Cup Day. The 115, the first race from Ascot, it is the Golden Gates Handicap, Class 2 Handicap, going for a purse $46,500, race for 3-year-olds, horses rated 0 to 105. We have a field of 16 horses going around the turn, the distance of ground of 2,000 meters, or a mile and a quarter on the Ascot turf course, 2,000 meters, a mile and a quarter here in the Golden Gate Handicap. And not to be mistaken with Golden Gate Fields, where they used to have a Golden Gate Handicap on their turf course, which used to be run out like a mile 3/8. They got rid of that years ago. But, I think this is the inaugural year they're running this race, and, I think it's a good race. We have 16 horses here going, like I said. As a top selection, I'm going to take the 5-horse Tritonic. I'm going to go 5-2 in the forecast exacta, 5-2 forecast exacta. I'm giving a forecast out, but to tell you the truth, any of these two probably can win, so most definitely use them in the play spot also. But we'll start off with the 5-horse Tritonic, yeah, there we go. 3-year-old colt by See the Moon. Alan King trains. Ocean Murphy gets the mount. The horse hasn't been seen since the fall. That came on the 12th of October at Newmarket. Mile and a quarter in the Group 3 Zetland Stakes. And the horse finished 5th by 9 quarter lengths there. And this horse just never really got comfortable there. Didn't break so well. Sat back early, a little bit of a turn of foot, but he just wasn't comfortable. He's bred to go a mile and a half. He's going to get the mile and a quarter here off the break, and with drawn well, I think, he could really run a good race, but I think in the future he's really going to want a mile and a half. 2 back here on the 20th of September at Newbury, 1 mile in a novice race, and he won by 1.5 lengths. He did everything right. He quickened up nicely from a tracking position, and he just kept going at 12 to 1. It was an all-around good effort. And before that, novice at Foss last, 7.5 furlongs, August 23rd. He won by a half length, and a 3 to 1 again. Didn't break so well that day, but he was under the drive and he was excelling there. First start ever at Haydock Thorod. That was on very soft ground. 7 furlongs and a novice. Finished 4th by a half a length, and he just never was really comfortable that day, and he just looked he just looked uncomfortable. Go watch the replay if you don't believe me. But he's drawn well here today. Should definitely get the trip, maybe even longer in the future, like I said. But at 10 to 1, let's use him. Second likeliest winner, I think, will be the 2-horse here. Grand Rock. 3-year-old colt by acclamation. William Haggas trains. Kieran Fallon gets the mount. Most recently, the horse ran the 21st of October at Pontefract, 1 mile, and a Tankard Stakes, where the horse finished 3rd by 1 quarter lengths. He sat back early, had a great turn of foot. If the race was just a little longer than a mile, he probably would have won, but, ran decently there. Before then, Condition Stakes at Epsom on the 29th of September over the mile 16th on very waterlogged ground. With a small field of 3 horses, he did everything right. He stalked, he got the lead. It was a good battle to home. And when he won, like I said, he ran decently. And then before that, Hamilton up in Scotland over the mile in a Class 3 novice. He won by 3.5 lengths there. And again, he got the job done. He's been improving with every single race. Another horse, he should definitely get the mile and a quarter. But biggest question today will be post 15 of 16. He's going to have to get a good trip here around the bend, but I'll use him also in the play spot. But to recap my selection for the opener, the 115 from Ascot, it's the Golden Gates Handicap. Let's take as a top selection the number 5-horse Tritonic as a top selection. We'll also use the 2-horse Grand Rock. We'll go 5-2 in the forecast exact and use both those digits in the place pot. Let's get to the 150, the second. The 150, the second race from Ascot, it is the Wolferton Stakes. It's a listed stakes going for a purse $66,500, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. 16 horses are heading to the turf course, a distance of ground of 2,000 meters, or a mile and a quarter on the turf course. 2,000 meters, a mile and a quarter. Top selection in the Wolferton, I'm going to go with the number 13 horse here. The number 13, who is Sir Dragonaut, will go 13-2 in the forecast exacta. 13-2 forecast exacta. Top selection 13 horse Sir Dragonaut. 4 colt by Camelot. Ain't O'Brien trains. Ryan Moore gets the mount. Most recently, the horse ran 23rd of March at Naas in Ireland. Heavy ground, mile and a quarter in the Devoy Stakes, and he finished second by 2 1/4 lengths. And at 50 cents a dollar with a high weight, he was moving a little bit that day, but I think the high weight got to him late in the race, and also the break got to him. Second off the break, lower weight, good post draw, back to a mile and a quarter. I think he's sitting on a very good run. Two back here in the St. Ledger, Doncaster over the mile 6.5 furlongs or the mile 11/16. He finished fourth by 3 lengths, and he just wasn't getting the trip. He never really relished it and liked it, and it just wasn't the day to win. And then before that, the Group 3 Royal Whip Stake at the Curra, August 16th over the mile and a quarter. He finished fourth by 2 1/4 lengths. Buckhurst ran a terrific race, but this horse just never got into it. After 40 cents a dollar, he should have won there. And then before that, in the Derby at Epsom, mile and a half, he finished fifth by 3/4 lengths. And that's a favorite. He just never really moved until very late. The stalemate Anthony Van Dyke just ran that better race. And then before then, the Chester Vaz, he won by 8, and then he broke the main at Tipperary very nicely. He's been improving with every single race up until the Derby. Then he kind of digressed. Last time out, he showed promise. Coming here back to a mile and a quarter, which I think is really in his wheelhouse. I think he'll run a good race. Let's use him. Second likeliest winner, the 2-horse Cross Baton, I think has a strong chance. 5-year-old colt by Dansel. John Gosden trains. Frankie Dettori's on this one. Most recently, the Churchill Stakes at Lingfield in the fall over the mile and a quarter. He won by 2 lengths, and he had a dream trip late, but early on he didn't break that well, which is sometimes a death wish, because with that quick run to the first turn going mile and a quarter at Lingfield, you need to break well, but he recovered well. But when he quickened up easily late, that was a very impressive final quarter. But like I said, go watch that replay. He needs to break a little bit better. Before that, at Epsom, mile and a quarter in late August in a novice conditions race, finished second by 4.5 lengths there. And again, he just stalked all the way around the race course, just couldn't quicken up late. But I've seen a lot worse races. And then before that, in the Suburban Handicap at Epsom over the mile and a quarter on a Derby trial day, he finished ninth by 7.5 lengths. And again, he just never was really into it. You know, he ran here once at Ascot in the past in the Hampton Court a few years ago, where he placed behind Hunting Horn. And again, he was really closing up well that day. Gets Dettori back up 15-1. Use him on your place pots. I definitely think he get a place. It wouldn't surprise me if he also wins, but like I said, place pot, exacta kind of horse, definitely use him there. But to recap my selection for the second, the 150 from Ascot's the Wolferton Stakes, let's take the 13-horse Sir Dragonaut, can't speak. I will also use the 2-horse Cross Baton, and we'll go 13-2 in the forecast exacta. Let's get to the third, the third race, the 225 from Ascot. It is the Group 3 Jersey Stakes. It's a Group 3 event for Class 1 horses going for a purse of $80,000, race for 3-year-olds here. We have 15 horses going the distance of ground of 1,400 meters, with the distance of ground of 7 furlongs here in the Jersey. 7 furlongs, 1,400 meters. The top selection, we're going to go with the number 4 horse, King Leonidas, Leonidas, I think that's how you say it. I'm going to go 4-10-8 in the Tri-Cash Trifecta. 4-10-8 Tri-Cash Trifecta. Top selection 4 horse, King Leonidas. The stereo colt by Kingman. John Gosden trains. Frankie Dettori gets the mount. Most recently, the horse ran 7th of June, so 2 weeks ago over at Newmarket on the Rolling Mile. 1 mile in a novice race, and the horse went by 2 1/4 lengths, and he did everything right. He stalked, quickened up nicely, dream trip there. It doesn't get any easier than that off the break. Second off the break, in theory, he should be more fresh. He's drawn on the stand side, which I think is very good, and I think he's sitting on a very good run. 2 back at Newmarket on the 23rd of October, 7 furlong soft ground novice race. He won by 2, and again, he didn't have the dream trip like he had next start out, but he was a little green early on, slowly moved his way forward. He quickened up, not as good as the next race, but he got the job done there. He's the kind of horse he's bred to go the trip, maybe even a little longer, and I think he has a good future. It wouldn't surprise me if he wins today. You see this horse maybe end up in France for the Parisian Prat at Deauville, maybe even go to Goodwood after that, maybe take the same route that they did with Too Darn Hot last year. But I think at the mile trip he should do, or 7 furlong trip he should do very well. Like the stand side, Frankie up, let's use him. Second likeliest winner here is the 10-horse Mystery Power, 3-year-old colt by No Name Ever. Richard Ham trains this one. Sylvester Sousa gets the mount. Most recently, the horse ran a dud in this Dewhurst over at Newmarket in the fall over the 7 furlong trip. Finished 7 by 15 lengths, and he just never really got into it. Was struggling that day, hitting the wall. Wasn't the day to win, but 2 back in the Mill Reef Stakes at Newbury with the 6 furlong. He finished second by 1.5 lengths. He was with him early on. He just couldn't quicken up to his good potential late, but I've seen a lot worse races, like the race before, which was the Vintage Stakes at Goodwood, where he finished 6th by 5 1/4 lengths, or excuse me, 15 1/4 lengths. He was with him early on, but then he got beat by Pinatubo, Positive, and Lope de Vega. All three of them were next out winners. His horse just wasn't getting into it. But before that, he won the super late over the 7 furlong trip very nicely. It's not the world's toughest Jersey Stakes, so he's stepping down in class from his last few. I'll give him a shot also at 10-1 with the step down class. Definite horse for the play spot. But to recap my selection for the third, the 225 from Ascot's Group 3 Jersey Stakes, we'll take as a top selection the 4-horse King Leonidas. We'll also give kudos to the 10-horse Mystery Power, and we'll go 4-10-8 in the TriCash trifecta. Now the 3 o'clock, the 4th race from Ascot, the Chesham. It's a race I don't like looking at. I love watching. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite races of the meet because these are the kind of horses that you would probably see in the Derby at the end of the year, Breeders' Cup, Juvenile Turf races. But Derby next year, Breeders' Cup at the end of the year. But it's a race, a lot of these horses making their second start here, and I just don't feel confident giving out a tip. But these are the kind of horses, like I said, you just want to track for later on in their career. So now to get to the big one, the 5th race, the 335 from Ascot. The featured 335, the 5th race from Ascot. It is the Group 1 Gold Cup. It's Group 1 race for Class 1 horses, going for a purse of $332,500, race for 4-year-olds and upwards. We have a very, very good field of 8 horses heading to the post. The distance of ground of 4,000 meters, or the distance of ground of 2.5 miles on the Ascot turf course. 4,000 meters, 2.5 miles. And my top selection here, I hate to pick the favorite, but I think Stradivarius looks very hard to beat on paper. We'll go 4-8-3 in the TriCash trifecta. 4-8-3 TriCash trifecta. That's going to be the only way to really make money with this race, hitting the trifecta. But as a top selection, we'll take the 4-horse Stradivarius, 6-year-old horse by Sea of the Stars. John Gosden trains. Frankie Dettori gets the mount. And by the way, this horse is not gelded, so he's still a horse. And going to, in the breeding shed, I think he'll be a very popular horse. You don't see a lot of stayers there, but that's for hopefully a little ways away. But his most recent outing in the Group 1 Coronation 2 weeks ago at Newmarket over the 1.5 miles, everybody and their mother probably knew it was a prep race for this race. He finished 3rd by 5 lengths. He just couldn't quicken up late, but I still thought he ran a decent race. But it was a race they weren't trying to win. They're waiting for this race, second off the break, fresher horse, back to Ascot, where he's run very well in the past. I expect him to really run a good race. 2 back here in the long distance cup, British Champions long distance cup here at Ascot, 2 miles. 19th of October, and he finished second by a nose behind Q-Guards. It was his first loss in a few years. He just couldn't get the Q-Guards who had the jump on him, but he still ran a terrific race there. Before then, the Doncaster Cup over the 2.25 miles, he won by 1.75 again. When he gets to the lead, he kind of hangs a little bit, but he held on to a very nice victory at 10 cents a dollar, 10 cents a dollar. And before that, 40 cents a dollar in the Lonsdale Cup over the 2 miles at York. He won by 1/4 lengths, winning very nicely. And then last year's Goodwood Cup. At Goodwood, he makes you, bite your fingernails, but he won by a neck, again, getting a good trip. And then he won this race last year by very, very easily, a lot better than he did in 2018. In 2018, that was a quite good group of horses. The second place finisher for Zerabad, it was a dual Dubai Gold Cup winner, so he beat some good horses home. But coming here today, this race is not nearly as tough as the past few runnings he's won, and he's going for the multiple wins in this race. 3-5, let's take him. If there's a slight upsetter, I think it's the 8-horse Technician, this 4-year-old colt by Master Craftsman. He won the French Saint Ledger, the Prix Royal at Longchamp most recently in October, very nicely. He won the Pre-Show Day before that very nicely. But the big question with him will be, can he step up towards these better quality horses in the UK? At 5-1, he has a small chance, but I think Stradivarius is the horse to beat on paper. But to recount my selections now for the 5th, the 335 from Ascot, it's the Group 1 Gold Cup. Let's take the 4-horse. Excuse me, the 4-horse Stradivarius. I'm going to go 4-8-3 in the TriCash trifecta. So now let's get over to race number 6, the 410, the 6th race from Ascot's the Britannia Handicaps, Class 2 handicap, going for a purse of $80,000, race for 3-year-olds. Here we have a field of 24 horses going down the straightaway, the distance of ground of 1,600 meters, or the 1 mile trip on the main track. 1,600 meters, 1 mile here in the Britannia. The top selection here, we're going to go with the number 22 horse, who is Finest Sound. We'll go 22-2 in the forecast exacta. Did you get that? 22-2 2. Top selection 22 horse, Finest Sound. This 3-year-old colt by Exceed Excel. Simon Christopher trains. Andre Cassini gets the mount. Most recently, the horse ran the 8th of June at Haydock, soft ground, 1 mile in a Class 2 handicap, and he won by 5.5 lengths. And, he did everything right. He stalked, he got the lead, and, off the break, he ran good. 2 back, he ran a novice race in Newmarket, 7 furlongs, October the 5th, and he finished 3rd by 11.25 lengths there, and he just couldn't stay with them. Ground was very, very wet there, and it was a very, weird race that he just wasn't excelling with. And then before that novice race, Sandown over the mile trip on the 18th of September, finishing 3rd by 3 lengths. He could have ran a little bit better, but he was staying the trip well. Maybe in the future he wants a little longer than a mile, but, his most recent outing was good. Coming here second off break, 7-1 with a good weight, good posture. I give him a shot with the 2 horse Verboten. Godolphin owns the 3-year-old colt by No Name Ever. John Gosden trains. Frankie Dettori teams up with Godolphin in the late double here from Ascot, but I think this is their best chance to win here with the old partnership, Godolphin and Dettori, and wouldn't it be something for them to win at Ascot again? But this Verboten most recently ran at Linkfield over the 7-furlong trip in a Class 2 handicap, most recently last week on the 5th of June, and the horse finished 4th by 11 lengths. Sorry, lost my train of thought for a second. I don't know if you're picking it up on the microphone. My cat was crying in front of my door, which gets very annoying when he does it during these videos, but back to Verboten, most recently at Linkfield over the 7 furlongs. He finished 4th by length there, and he sat back early, slowly moved his way up. They weren't really trying, I don't think, because, like I said, prep race to this race, they wanted to give him a race. But, I think here second off the break, longer trip to the mile. I think he's sitting on a very good run. I think also he has a good weight here. 2 back, he ran the Group 1 Futurity Trophy at Newcastle, the mile trip November the 1st. He finished 7 by 11.5 lengths. The winner, Kamigo, won next down in the Guineas very nicely. This horse didn't break that well, and he just was behind the 8 ball after that, really couldn't get into it. But before that, in a Class 4 novice at Yarmouth over the 7 furlong, he won by 3/4 length, and again, he sat back early, slowly moved his way up, and he got the lead. It wasn't the most impressive victories, but he got the job done. I think second off the break with Frankie up at 10-1, he's another very likely winner, so let's use him in the plays pod. So to recap my selection for the 6th, the 410 from Ascot's Britannia Handicap, let's take as a top selection 22 horse, Finest Sound. We'll also give kudos to the 2 horse Verboten. We'll go 22-2. So now let's get to the nightcap, the 440, the 7th race from Ascot. The nightcap, the 7th race, the 440 from Ascot. It is the Sandringham Handicap. It's Class 2 handicap going for a purse of $80,000. Race for 3-year-old fillies only. Field of 18 horses going to the turf course. The distance of ground is 1,600 meters, or the distance of ground of 1 mile on the Ascot turf course. 1,600 meters, 1 mile here in the Sandringham. Or the Sandringham. Top selection, we're going to go with the number 6 horse here. The number 6 horse, who is Safika. I'm going to go 6-13 in the forecast exacta. 6-13 forecast exacta. Top selection, 6 horse Safika. This 3-year-old filly by Zoffany. Sir Michael Stout trains this one. Ryan Moore gets the mount. The horse's most recent outing came this 10th of August at Newmarket, so it's coming off a bit of a break. Came on the July course, 7 furlongs in the Sweet Solaria Stakes, and she finished second by 1.25 lengths there. She sat back early. She really quickened up nicely, but with the final furlong at Newmarket being uphill, it got to her late, but she still ran a good race. Anywhere else in the country with a slight incline, I think she could have won, but like I said, that final furlong at Newmarket could be, on the July course, could be very tough. It got to her late, but she still ran a good race from where she was coming from. 2 back in a novice race at Pontefract, 6 furlongs, June 23rd. She won by 2.25 lengths there, and again, she didn't break all that well, had a very weird trip early on, but she recovered nicely. She got the lead, and then she held on to a very nice victory, but she needed that race for the experience. Coming here off the break, drawn on the stand side, has a good weight. At 6-1, I think she's a very likely winner, so we'll use her along with the 13 horse Declared Interest, 3-year-old filly by Declaration of War. Ralph Beckett trains. Harry Bentley gets the mount. This horse has a low weight here, but it is stepping up in loads of class, but I think she got the job done. Most recently in handicap over at Chelmsford, 1 mile, June the 9th. She won by 2 lengths there, and again, she sat back, she slowly moved her way up, and when she got the lead, she kept going. That was a very good race off the break. Coming here with a quick turnaround shouldn't be a problem. I think she's sitting on a good race. 2 back in a novice race at Kempton, 1 mile, November the 6th. She finished second by 1.25 lengths there, and she just couldn't quicken up. Oriental Mystique ran that better race, but this horse, was running well for the first 7 there, and then before that, Newberry on firm ground in a novice stakes. She finished third by 3 3/4 lengths there, and she just again couldn't get a good race late. But with every single race, she's been improving. Second off the break at 5-1. We'll use her. So to recap my selection for the 7th, 440 from Ascot Sandringham Handicap. Let's use its top selection, the 6 horse Trifecta. Also give kudos to the 13 horse Declared Interest, and we'll go 6-13 in the forecast exacta. So good luck to all, and please follow me on Twitter at HorseRacingKid5. Good luck, everybody.